We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Queer News Tonight has just returned from Europe, and they are trying to make sense of Trump voters based on the positive LGBTQ+ experience they had in Europe.
Firefighter Rebecca Reynolds wins a $1.3 million settlement after enduring over 21 years of harassment related to her sexual orientation and age.
As the 2024 election nears, right-wing media is amplifying dangerous misinformation, potentially inciting violence. Media Matters' Angelo Caruso says it is essential to be vigilant and prepared.
Will Ferrell encourages queer youth to embrace courage. The new documentary, Will and Harper, promise joy and life-changing experiences. The trans story is beautiful.
More than 30 celebrities unite for a virtual auction, raising funds to provide LGBTQ inclusive books to U.S. elementary schools amid rising censorship.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We're proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company VetIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views because of you. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days, and for that, we say thank you. It is Monday, September 30th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in queer news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the queer community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are the part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America. Hotspot Magazine and Happening Out Television Networks in 2024 magazine is celebrating 40 years of LGBTQ experience, and our television news, talk, entertainment show supports our mission to educate the queer and broader community.
That's right, Carvelle. And let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome Edward Otto Zielke, from a successful career in financial marketing to his current role as the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. Edward's journey is marked by many accolades. If I said them all, it would take up the whole show, all right? So let's just say that he's won a lot of stuff, all right? So the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is one of the largest and most important LGBTQ+ cultural arts organizations. Edward, so the chic and unique ball, Crystal Opulence Unleashed, is on Saturday, November 2nd, and it'll be here before you know it at the Westin Beach Resort. Tell me what's happening.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to unleash a magical night, and I brought the invitation because I wanted everybody just to kind of see how beautiful this is, because it's fantastic. We had one of our beautiful designers do this, and it's just so magical,
gorgeous.
Isn't it?
It's opulent.
It's definitely opulence, and that's what makes it so unique about our, our ball, is that it's glitter elegance, it's luxury, it's extravagant, and you get to immerse yourself into this experience. And so it's great because it's a big fundraiser for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. And, we'd like to put on a big show.
Yes.
But we don't want to keep it too long, too. So, we get a little bit of the live carpet, red carpet happening. We've got a live band performing. So, we keep our program to less than an hour. So that way, you can get in there and dance right afterwards. So it just becomes a big party at the end. So,
I love that.
And it's all raising money for, the arts and organization of ours. So,
that have been affected this year.
Yeah.
We've
had a lot of funding taken away from us from the state. So it's been important for us to get the word out there, and especially for people to come and support us, especially at our ball.
I love that. So can I ask you, how much are tickets?
Yes, tickets are $200, starting at $200.
Okay.
There is a premium experience that includes VIP VIP bar, includes the open bar, and the VIP experience gets the pre-event that happens before that too.
Okay.
So there's a lot of great things. You know, there'll be silent auction items going on as well. We'll have a live auction item. We're going to have our first auctioneer that we're hiring, so we're really excited. This guy is really exciting. So yeah, he's gonna. We have trips coming up with it too. We got a brand G vacation that we're going to be auctioning off at estimated about $9,000 or $10,000. So yeah,
I love that.
It's going to be fantastic.
You know something else that you should add to your silent auction? Lunch with Gabe.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? We do have a couple of things involving Gabe. We have a maestro for a moment where you actually get to conduct on behalf of Gabe. So you get to perform, conduct the chorus in one of the performances. But also there's a supper and serenade. So, we get someone to cook you a meal in your home, and then Gabe gets to sing to you in person. So yeah, there's just a little bit of everything.
Well, can I tell you, Edward? Okay, I go to many galas, right? So let me just tell you from a person, that attends a gala.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for keeping that price tag down.
Yeah.
All right. I go to many galas that are $350 and up,
Right.
and $200 is attainable. It's doable.
Definitely. And if you get a table of friends, it's a table of 10. So, and we don't keep you boring. It's not a
You
boring
guys don't do
event.
anything boring.
No,
please. Come on.
No.
Well, because you sit through some of these, events, and and it's raising money, and it is a good cause and stuff. But sometimes you're there for hours, and it's like, I'm just ready to go home.
The
But
program needs to be short and sweet, and let people party and have a good time and enjoy themselves in the opulence that you have set for them.
Exactly, and make sure that you go on our website gmcsf.org and order your tickets there. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up, let's welcome our next anchor. She's Carvelle Estriplet. Love me some Carvelle. Founder of Carvelle Bikes, the only trans-owned business in Wilton Manors. She's an unapologetic, proud Black trans woman and trans community activist. She's also active in the Florida Democratic LGBTQ plus caucus. Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Faye. Thank you for the intro. So, I just want to say that it's great to be back here, and we're promoting my rental and also promotion for our trip next year, in partnership with Happening Out, to Machu Picchu. It's going to be a 10-day trip. Right now, you see, I guess we have the thing on the screen right there, but you go on to that QR code, sign up for the trip. It's going to be 1 year from now. From that, along with that, you get a free rental. That rental is transferred to anyone you have out of town for yourself.
Awesome.
That's the other thing that we're expanding with the bike shop is the rental program. Season's coming. We have rental bikes available. They start at $140 for the week and $46 for a single day use. So, but check out the trip. Travel with Carvelle, your favorite bike shop here in Wilton Manors, and I'm looking forward to this trip.
I love that. Well, let's talk about your rentals first of all. I love the idea of not having to be in an Uber or a car or in traffic or anything. There are so many beautiful spots in Fort Lauderdale that you can just get Wilton Manors that you could just get around in a bike. Yeah,
biking is just simply better in Wilton Manors. So, it's something that's, if you're coming out of town, you're staying at one of the resorts, one of the Airbnbs, you don't have to be burdened with Ubering to the club or to the gym around. Wilton Manors is such a biking community, so I'm providing that service. So
I love it. And the trip to Lima, come on, it gets no better than
that. Of course. So if you're interested in hanging out, it's buy one, get one free. So you have one friend with you. That other friend can sign up for the trip. So the details are on the website. It's on the screen too.
If you point your phone to the QR code on your screen right now, it'll give you all the information, and that's awesome. Thank you so much, Carvelle, for being a part of that. That's going to be fantastic.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And lastly, my friend, my Gregg with 2 G's. Let's welcome Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 7 books of poetry. He's an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of print and online publications. Welcome back, Gregg. So I've been gone for 2 weeks. I was wondering if you maybe wrote another book, and you said no.
I did not write a new book. However, Randy Rainbow did.
Yes!
And I had the wonderful honor and privilege of talking to him today. He is, he's a South Florida native.
Yes.
And this book is brilliant. It's these really funny essays that I was laughing out loud the entire time. I cannot recommend it enough. It comes out in October. He's going to be doing some reading tour dates. So, Low Hanging Fruit by Randy Rainbow. I highly recommend it. And then my interview, I hope you all will beat it when it's up.
I love that. So you interviewed him today. Okay,
Yes.
so Randy has been around for a while, and he's been kind of a pillar in our community for freaking ever, right? Like, he's always done like parodies and fun stuff that, make us smile at times when things aren't that wonderful.
He got us all
Yes,
through the
he did.
Trump years.
Oh,
Yeah.
He did.
I mean, during the Trump years, we got
Yes.
some really fun
Yes,
stuff from
he did.
him.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Is he a diva?
No, he is just the sweetest, really down to earth, just a regular guy, but he's so smart and he's so
He's so
talented.
quick and witty,
Yeah.
like
And it-
mofo.
yes,
Like, wow. Is he married?
He's single. He's not going to appreciate it. I said.
The cat's out of the bag.
You see Randy, you're gonna know.
They're here.
He's single.
He's single.
So, you have a chance to ask him out, maybe.
Oh.
We'll definitely look out for that.
Let's welcome our host with the most. Hostess with the mostest? Yeah, of course.
All right.
Tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is a legendary events host, television and radio personality, and of course, the host of the FayWhat show on Mondays at Hotspots Happening Out. Faye,
Yes.
the Wilton Drive Improvement District is hosting the upcoming Wilton Drive Block Party event on October 9th. You, of course, will be hosting the event. Tell us about it.
I'm so excited. So the Wilton Drive Block Party between Northeast 20th Street and Northeast 26th Street is going to be happening from 5 to 8 p.m. Join us for a special night out on the drive. The Wilton Drive Improvement District brings you the Wilton Drive Block Party, and I'm your host, FayWhat. The Wilton Drive Block Party will feature live music, DJs, special discounts at restaurants and shops, and a whole lot more. Some of the participating establishments on the drive are Dairy Queen, Burgers and Beers, Sardi Cafe, Ethos, Violet's, Zen's, Dude's Barber, I love that place. Ink Edition, Chic Optique, Apartment 9F, I love you, Miss Carol, Myth Gastro Bar, God, those guys are hot. To the Moon, Deliria, Sunserve, I love you, Tony, Claudia Castillo, Art Studio, Top and Bottom, Men's Clothing, Infinity Lounge, Hunters, True Blue, Drink Bar, The Pub, Gym Sports Bar, George's Alibi, Tea and Spice that just opened, all right, The Well, and a whole lot more. So if you're not a part of this and you are on the drive, you've got to get on over and let them know, because almost everyone on the drive is going to be a part of it. So I'll be hitting all the spots in my own circuit. It's going to be so cool. All right. So join me. I can't wait. I will see you there. The Wilton Drive Block Party, October 8th. Get all the information at Facebook under Wilton Drive Block Party, and I'll see you then. So we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, September 30th, 2024. Let's begin by queering up the worldview. Queer News Tonight returns from Europe, and we are trying to make sense of Trump voters. An article written by Michael Jensen, an author, editor, travel blogger, and columnist for LGBTQ Nation, talks about Trump voters. The article narrates that as he stood on the deck of a cruise ship in Portland, England, he found himself bonding with a fellow passenger over photography, despite their political differences. Bob, a slender older man from Arizona, struck up a conversation after both fumbled their attempts to capture a ceremonial cannon shot. As they discussed the cruise, the conversation turned to politics. Michael, a Seattle native, was surprised when Bob, a former Trump voter, expressed regret over his past choices, citing January 6th as his breaking point. Although Bob hadn't fully decided to support Kamala Harris, the conversation revealed a shared frustration with Trump's rhetoric and the country's divisive politics. Michael reflected on the importance of finding common ground and learning to coexist. Despite their differing political views, Bob was clearly a good person, reminding Michael that in the end, unity might just be possible. We at Queer News Tonight have just returned from Europe, and we have witnessed similar views about Trump from those we visited at Munich's Oktoberfest and across Alpine Europe. And I had one of those experiences. It's interesting to be out of the country. Like, when you're in the U.S. and you leave to another U.S. state and you talk about Florida, people are usually like, oh, Florida. Okay, imagine that quadrupled when you go to another country. Internationally, we think that we're just in a bubble and all our craziness is just staying here. The whole entire world knows about everything going on here. I spoke to someone in Austria and they were like, they're eating cats and dogs? What is going on? Like, I was so taken aback by the fact that these people knew everything that was going on and all the trauma that we had dealt with Trump over the last 8 years, so it's interesting to just get their perspective, and it was a mix of people. I also met some Bavarian folk that were saying, we don't want Kamala to win, and I hope that she doesn't win, but it definitely is striking when you just see how we are under the microscope everywhere, especially internationally.
Because what happens here affects the rest of the globe. And the thing about Austria is they have recently made this sort of move to the right. There's this sort of right wing that is rising there all across Europe, but Austria especially.
It's across the world because the world is smaller now, and it's easier to
social media
to spread out your rhetoric and everything else. And going back to what you say, Faye, like we as Floridians, we're the laughingstock, and now for the last 8 years, the United States is kind of like, hey, what's going on? Well, are you gonna get your shit together? And things like that, because and then all the rhetoric, all the crazy stuff, and then that behavior is being mimicked, unfortunately.
Oh my God, you're right. You're right when you think of it.
Yeah, the bad behavior is mimicking each other. So that's why the whole analogy of the world is it's getting smaller and smaller. And scary sometimes.
And scary.
And it's, the fact that we're the laughing stock of the U.S. here in Florida, the one that's it transfers to the rest of the world, that's really kind of depressing. But I have to say that globe-trotting Michael Jensen and his author husband, Brent Hartinger, are friends of mine. And we should be grateful for his insightful reporting. He's a good man, a good writer, so it's good to hear him writing about this and talking about this.
And how interesting the times that we're in, that we meet new people and we're kind of like, oh, let's not talk about politics because we don't want to go there. You're having a good rapport with someone, and then, at least I can only speak for me as a brown lesbian. I'll meet somebody new and I'm like, they're white, they're gonna be a Trumper, I'm afraid of what they're gonna say, and that's the world.
You can't make that assumption. You can't make an assumption. I have my brother who lives out in Coral Springs, and he calls black Trumpers black rednecks. I'm just saying, black Trumpers. So political ideology is not just limited to skin color. But I totally get it. Totally get what you're saying.
You're absolutely
you're making
right.
that assumption, but it's just like it's just that rhetoric. It doesn't matter. It crosses skin boundaries, states, countries. Stupidity is powerful.
Stupidity is powerful.
Stupidity is powerful. So contagious. So just be careful.
Worse than COVID.
I was really struck, by the article itself, with just by this man, trying to, striking a conversation with a stranger and just finding that commonality. And then, coming across that, we have different political views. And so, you can definitely take the opportunity to understand, what it is about this person that, differs, to the other side. So, it's good to have those type of healthy, engaging dialogues. It's too bad we don't get that enough.
We should.
But he's capturing something. Is that sometimes we just need to sit and listen. Just to what the other people have to say. And sometimes, we come at it sometimes as it's in a personal. At least for me, I feel like it's in a personal attack on my own views as this LGBTQ plus person. So I sometimes have to realize people are not coming at me like that.
And again, going back to the story, it kind of gives me a little bit of hope because we're constantly seeing Trumpers being vigilant, right? And, cognitive dissonance is a real thing, and then you talk to somebody who says, hey, January 6th changed something. I could no longer continue to vote for someone like this. That gives me hope that there's others like that person, right? So I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, next, let's queer up lesbian culture. Kansas City firefighter receives $1.3 million settlement after decades of harassment. After enduring over 21 years of harassment, Rebecca Reynolds, a Kansas City firefighter, is finally receiving compensation she deserves. The City Council's Finance Committee recommended a $1.3 million settlement, marking it as the largest discrimination payout in the fire department's history. Reynolds, who graduated from the Fire Academy at age 40, claimed she faced consistent abuse from male coworkers, often related to her sexual orientation and age. In her lawsuits, she recounted demeaning comments made in front of patients, including being told she was not normal for being a lesbian and that her sexual orientation stemmed from not having sex with the right man. Reynolds' attorney, Bert Broad, stated, quote, There's no way she would have yelled and treated the way she was if she were a man. Miss Reynolds was let down by the KCFD chain of command, the city's internal EEO office, and the HR department. Our community deserves better. It is our hope that the department will start doing the right thing, end quote. As part of the settlement, Reynolds agreed to drop 2 pending lawsuits and not file a third related to an incident where another firefighter, Please Robinson III, reportedly urinated in her office. Robinson has been charged with first-degree harassment and property damage. As part of the settlement, Reynolds will resign from her position, a decision not on her own making. She remarked, quote, I have a valuable skill set that benefits my community, and I leave proud of the job I did. Well, we'll definitely take her skills, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a female firefighter, what so archaic way of thinking some people have, you know, and it just goes to show there's still more work to do in this country, just even with the sexism, you know. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
You know, this story gets me super angry, of course, as a lesbian sitting at this table. It gets me super angry. You know, Rebecca Reynolds, you endured something that nobody should endure. How you stayed there for 21 years, I'll never understand, you know. Unfortunately, this is nothing new to me. Since I came out as a lesbian, I've been told, if I had $1 for each time I was told, you didn't get the right dick, or were you raped as a child, or you must hate men, right? And that's a constant. It flows right out my tongue because I've heard it so often. And that is something that many women in our LGBTQ plus community deal with all the time. You know, 1.3 million. That's it? Really? That's 21 years and that's what you got? And you take away her job? What she was serving others, right? She was in a position where she had to take care of people under the roughest of conditions during a fire or something like that, where she didn't care about their skin color or their gender identity or who they loved, right? She just took care of them. But when she went back to her office, she had to deal with this bullshit because of men. Men, you guys got to do better, man. You just have to do better. This archaic doesn't even begin to explain this story, you know? Yeah. 1.3 million, you know?
There's so much wrong with it because, you know, even this guy, this Please Robinson III, you know, has already have a pre-existing third assault charge from him in 2019. So toward a woman. So you already know who he is as a person. He hates women.
Yeah, and so, he hates himself probably.
Exactly.
You know?
So, you know, why has still been employed at this point is a question, you know, that I would have in terms of the fire department. But yeah, it's awful that, you know, what certain people have to go through.
But you'd think the firemen would be too busy fighting fires, rescuing cats from trees, hosting chili cook-offs, and posing for calendars to indulge in this basic behavior. But you'd be wrong.
Yeah, no, we would be wrong. You know, me and Carvelle were just talking before the show about how, you know, her bike shop is called Carvelle Bikes, right? It's her bike shop, okay? She is Carvelle. And when people will come in to get their bike fixed or something like that, okay, where's the mechanic that's going to work on my bike? You know, and she's like, right here, bitch, right here is your mechanic,
but,
you know?
I was about to say, the level, this story, the level of disrespect, I'm just amazed that she stayed at that 21. and still do all that position too. But going back to that, like I have that the chauvinistic macho thing behavior is still around, and this thing, like I get that at least once a week. Someone comes in, questions my ability because I'm a woman, and saying, "Are you? So can you find me the real mechanic who's going to be working on my bike?" And but I'm just surprised that she stayed along on this story too, and things that. And 1.3 is not enough. No. Far from that.
Close. No, nothing. Now she's 61 with no job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's.
I mean, put that into perspective, right? Like, and again, she served the community. Yeah. Rebecca Reynolds, we're sending you all kinds of good vibes your way.
Absolutely.
You are incredible. I hope they start paying you to do public speaking across the country or something. All right. Look into that because you've got the story behind it. You've got the wits. I mean, you've got the mother effing patience.
What about the rest?
You know, and I can't believe, I hope that in that sea of firefighters that were against you, there were some that came to your aid and had your back, you know, because not all men hate us and not all men are like that towards lesbians. You know, it's not uncommon to also find allies, you know, so I really do hope that you had somebody in your corner. And we wish you all the best. No one should go through that.
Absolutely.
Next, let's queer up the USA view. The rising threat of right-wing media misinformation as Election Day approaches. As the 2024 presidential election enters its critical final weeks, concerns about the influence of right-wing media are escalating. Angelo Caruso, president of Media Matters, warns that a desperate media ecosystem aligned with extreme political ideologies will intensify efforts in the next month to manipulate narratives and spread disinformation. Caruso stated, quote, "They're going to do it because they feel like that's their best path. They're not going to do it because they think the ends justify the means," end quote. He believes that as Trump's polls numbers decline, right-wing outlets will push dangerous misinformation drawing from fringe ideologies to mobilize their base rather than persuade new voters. With social media's role amplified by recent changes under Elon Musk, misinformation about voting could incite real-world violence. Caruso cautions, quote, "What you're going to get from that is threats of violence. People showing up at ballot boxes to protect them because Trump calls for them to do so. You can see how this spirals out of control," end quote. He insists on the importance of local election officials responding to falsehoods, stating, quote, "Right-wing voters are more likely to believe local officials than they are to trust a national outlet," end quote. With the integrity of the democratic process at stake, vigilance is essential in combating the dangerous narratives poised to dominate the coming weeks. You know, and people don't know the difference between fake news and real news, right? You know, they really don't. And with Elon Musk just allowing people to just be a free-for-all on X, people will believe that, you know, it's rigged or you know, anything like that. You know, I'm personally afraid of violence that might be ensued, right? I'm afraid of after when Kamala wins, what will happen, you know? I mean, it's very scary times, and they're not going to make it pretty. They're going to come out with the worst stuff that you'll ever think of, and people are going to believe it.
Right? I mean, January 6th is still so fresh in all of our memories. And it feels so terrifying. So I hope that there are people who will, you know, the local governments will stand up and say, this is right, this is the truth, these ballots are correct, this is who the true winner is.
The frightening thing is the next 60 days is going to be kind of frightening, because whoever wins, like, okay, if Kamala wins, you're going to have the Trump voters, right wing is saying that it's rigged, and possibly another January 6th too. But from this point on, like even now with AI and people's own ecosystem of information, things that people get trapped into misinformation, that thing and stuff. So it is definitely scary times, but like after like these next 60 days, what the results are going to be like for this election that's the part I'm being vigilant for. And that's why we have to be careful where we get our information from. Folks at home, right? Queer News Tonight, get your information from reputable places. I'll say for me, exactly what Carvelle just said. It's happened to me, right? We just went through a hurricane. It didn't hit us. We're fine, right? But a lot of other places were highly affected. And you start looking at TikTok, you start looking at social media, and you're like, wow, this happened in Asheville. And then right under, fake. This didn't happen. This was done by an AI. You know, like, how do you know the difference, right? From just your eye, it's hard to know. So get your information from reputable
trusted sources. From trusted sources. Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Not TikTok.
Not X.
I happen to look at this quote that the right-wing voters are more likely to believe local officials than they are the national outlet, and I think that's kind of what speaks to the mentality at this point. Is that like, you know, for me, you know, if I'm in town and something is happening, and like, you know, or you know, the police are around, or there's something, you know, you want to hear the story, you want to know what's going on, so you tend to believe what is being in front of you. So when you're seeing it on TV, or you know, it's a perception of what somebody outside is seeing. So there's a little bit bit of like, a little bit of a distrust that I understand why people might feel that way. But that goes to like, making sure that we're educating within our communities too. So it's that like, why is it that people are thinking this certain way, or why they believing Trump because he says this or he says outrageous things and they enjoy that.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I really hope that local city officials will take this into account. Where I vote, there's no cop outside. There's like 2 people inside, and, South Florida is a melting pot. We have all these different languages. We have all these different colors, blah, 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 and so you go to this place and no one's telling you, hey, don't worry, your ballot is secure. Your vote counts in 5 languages. I don't think that they're ready for that.
No.
And that really scares me.
Yeah.
Well, Florida's history with elections, we need to talk
No
about
hanging chads
the
this time.
hanging
No hanging chads.
Yes,
So
okay.
we have not reliving that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
Sorry.
All right, Carvelle, what's next, mama?
So let's queer up gay culture. Will and Harper stars share powerful insight in trans allyship coming out. The documentary, the documentaries of the year, Will and Harper, has debuted on Netflix. The documentary follows a longtime friends, Will Ferrell and Harper Steele, who met when they started working at SNL same week 30 years ago. When Harper came out as trans, the two decided to go on a cross-country road trip to reconnect each other, and the country's out Raffi Matic spoke with the cast and crew about the film, how to be a good trans ally and good gay icon. The star and director of the documentary were presented on the red carpet during the Los Angeles premiere, playing a fun game of Out of the Bag, where celebrities draw questions from a designer purse. Harper Steele pulled a question about queer icons and suggested her good friend Will Ferrell then answered what advice he had to give to young trans folks and hesitant to come out. Quoted, he said, "Everyone has a different set of circumstances and a different level of support. But I would just say this, if I can muster up the courage, and you will feel such joy, and it will change your lives in so many different ways, beyond what you can even imagine." End quote. Director Josh Greenbaum emphasized the Allyship, saying, quote, "Showing up to be there, listening. He also named Harper Steele as a deserving gay icon. Will and Harper is now streaming on Netflix. I'm looking forward to watching this thing actually tonight, and I seen a clip of the interview and stuff like that. It seems really touching, and it's gonna bring transgenderism to a new group of demographic of guys or people that we look at and say, oh, they're transphobic or anything like that. So the bro culture, bro stuff that has to be confronted with, hey, trans is everywhere. We're everywhere. We're your best friends. And I personally experienced that many times in the bike community. My best friend Dave, we worked at Performance Bike from a long time ago, but it was from now I'm thinking about 15 years ago. He was there when I just started transitioning. And Dave if you see Dave, he's a big old redneck, got beard. He almost voted for Trump on 2015. I can put him out there. He's not that. Okay. But I'm just trying to say to you, going back to all the other things, there's not too much of a difference. So there's more similarities with each other than differences. And it looks pretty touching. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Well, I mean, it's gotten a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
So let me say that my initial thought and what I feel now are different, okay? So my initial thought was they didn't get the pronouns right. He kept on calling her a he, and that was really upsetting me. He didn't know the terminology. Will Ferrell knows nothing about the trans community. These are all things that I was like, why wouldn't they wait a couple of weeks to get him up to par and then start filming? Well, I found out that they wanted to get this out before election. So they were a little rushed for it, right? But then the more I sat with it, the more I was happy that they did it this way, right? We make mistakes when people learn about the trans community, they misdo pronouns, they misspeak, right? If you're able to learn from your mistakes, right, and then not do it again, then I'm with you. right? And this is Will Ferrell going through the evolution of understanding that his friend was trans all along and that he didn't know, you know?
But like going that, like even like, you know, people being Allyship, like I mean, I'm using my dad, for example. My dad, he still has a hard time saying she, her, but he makes an attempt.
Yes.
And people, when people make an attempt, I give them grace. I'm not going to be, and stuff like that. So I didn't see the movie yet, and things like the documentary, but I've been personally where people who have been trying to understand, and they're, mispronouncing pronouns, some people get sensitive, but you have to understand where, if they're coming with a good intent to understand, I'll let that go, let that grace.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I do love how outspoken Will Ferrell has been about the documentary, doing lots of press, and it doesn't hurt that he does have that kind of fan base that would benefit from the movie's strong message of unconditional acceptance. So thank you, Will, for doing that.
Will Ferrell has a platform.
Oh, huge.
He has a huge platform, okay? I saw him on Broadway do Bush, right? When he was doing The President Everywhere, right? This is, you know, one of the many things. And he is very white America also, right? So, you know, I am not a trans woman. I can't speak on the trans experience. We are blessed to have Carvelle here to be able to do that, right? This does, like Carvelle says, this brings this to another audience that maybe would become transphobic because of lack of knowledge. Because that's what happens to many people.
Yeah.
You know?
Ignorance.
Ignorance.
Yeah, and then just showing that any new information, new documentary, yes, Will Ferrell is using his platform and using it in the correct way by, hey, look, this is my best friend. And how many people can relate that story too. So there's a win-win with this too, and bringing more conversations to people that you wouldn't even think they want to talk about that or feel uncomfortable talking about. Yeah,
Completely. And again, education is key. Education is key. I read a story today that Will Ferrell regrets some of the stuff that they filmed, right? They filmed a part in a Texas steakhouse.
Yes.
Where he was dressed like Sherlock Holmes, okay? Because Will Ferrell is still Will Ferrell, right?
Clown, right.
And there was a moment there where they worried about the girl's safety, right? And that was something that Will had never thought about until he's in the middle of a Texas steakhouse in the middle of Texas, you know, where she stands up and says, "I wish you people would do more for trans rights." And the whole entire room went silent. And then one woman stood up and said, "Oh, but we still love you." Still. Like you're giving me a pass, right? Like, you know, and Will learned from that.
Yeah.
You know?
I saw the documentary.
Oh, okay.
And you know, it spoke to me because I don't have a friend who's transitioned, so I can't speak on that. But I've had somebody in my life who I've known for over 40 years that recently told me that they're coming out. And so, as someone who has had a relationship with this person for well over 5 decades, I understood where Will was coming from in terms of Harper's transition because they've known each other for 30 years. They've acted a certain way, like I have with my best friend. And now they're telling me something more about themselves that, you know, my friend doesn't change so much, but, you know, Will feels, you know, in the documentary that, you know, a lot is changing for Harper. And so, it's a little clumsy in the beginning. And I think that's the grace that I think the documentary gives.
I love
is that because when Will sees Harper for the first time after the pandemic, you know, it's kind of like, where do we go from here? And I've only known you as Andrew Steele, but now you're Harper Steele. And how do we have a relationship?
How do we transition?
Now? How do we have a relationship?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what this whole road trip was about. You know, how do you explore and how do you get to know the new person and still value them and still want them in your life? So, you know, it was beautiful, I thought. And, you know, and I cried a little bit too, because you did get to see the injustices and you did get to see the story that you told about the Texas steakhouse, because you know, you just don't think about it all the time until you afterwards and you're like, oh, that was such a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
And he admits that too.
He does.
So you know, it's a learning process.
It's a learning
for everybody.
process and it's a growing curve and it's beautiful to see it, to be able to see it on screen, right? So again, like my initial thought of it's clumsy, they're you know, he's misgendering her. Like I was all mad for her, right?
Yeah.
But then once I I sat with that and the representation of it all and the education of it all and the clumsiness of it all, then I appreciate it
because
even more.
Will's coming at it, he wants to learn.
Yeah.
And he wants to embrace this new person, but doesn't know how to do it.
But the thing is, it's not a new person. It's the same person.
That's what
You
he
know?
thinks. But that's his
but in the context of that, it's new to that person. Even if they can be like, so having like Will Ferrell taking, like he had the choice of not ending that friendship too. Because I had people who I don't talk to anymore. And
that had an issue with transitioning. And we're like,
so having, they're your best friend staying in there and want to understand, it's a beautiful thing. And then having it being filmed. So like I said, I'm excited to watch this. So it sounds good with the clips you guys are describing. So
yeah, so we're all going to be watching it tonight.
Yeah.
yes,
You'll be
we
seeing
are.
the comments on social media.
Yeah,
all right?
exactly.
What's next, Greg?
Next, let's queer up students and youth culture. Celebrities join forces to fight book bans in education. More than 30 celebrities have united to combat censorship and support LGBTQ inclusive education by participating in Pride and Less Prejudice's 4th annual #BannedTogether virtual auction. The event, which was held during Banned Books Week, had the goal of raising $20,000 to provide 1,600 queer inclusive books to elementary schools across the U.S. and managed to raise $12,000. Since 2019, Pride and Less Prejudice has raised more than $250,000, donating more than 16,000 books to pre-K through 3rd grade classrooms in all 50 states. This year's auction featured items from Janelle Monáe, Daniel Radcliffe, Billie Jean King, Big Frida, Bobby Burke, Lily Tomlin, Sarah Bareilles, drag queens Jinx Monsoon, Ben Della Creme, Latrice Royale, comedian Hannah Gadsby, Margaret Cho, author Casey McQuiston, and many more. Talking about the auction, Big Frida said, quote, "Having access to such books would have profoundly impacted my life," end quote. The event comes amid a wave of book bans with more than 10,000 titles pulled from schools in 2023-2024. According to Pride and Less Prejudice founder Lisa Foreman, quote, "In 2023, the American Library Association saw a 65% increase in the number of titles targeted for censorship compared to 2022, with a focus on books by and about LGBTQ+ people and people of color," end quote. She also stated that Pride and Less Prejudice is dedicated to making sure students have access to LGBTQ inclusive books in their schools and libraries so they can see themselves and their families reflected. What an amazing cause and what a stellar lineup, including my fellow Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame inductee, Billie Jean King, as well as Janelle Monáe, Big Frida, Lily Tomlin, Hannah Gadsby, Margaret Cho, South Florida's very own Latrice Royale, and allies Daniel Radcliffe and Sarah Bareilles getting involved and donating things. Read on, my friends, read on.
Right? You know, I love that Daniel Radcliffe is a part of that because of all the J.K. Rowling crap.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, eat that, you know? I really hope that some of these books get down here to Florida. Like, when I see stories like this, I always go, oh my God, that's great for those kindergarten through 3rd, but that's never going to get down here to Florida.
I'm kind of hoping that maybe they'll show up in, those little book, when you see them outside, those little houses.
Yes.
I'm hoping that they'll show up in there because, you know what, I would definitely pick up one and read one, because they're so important today.
It is. And like what Big Frida said is so true, BIPOC history is American history. LGBTQ plus history is American history.
Yeah.
It's all American history, yet they take it out of the schools, it would have helped everybody at this table if when we went to school, they told us about, Stonewall, or they told us about
books,
something, you know what I mean? Like, events like this are just so important, and to be able to raise that kind of capital, it's boundless what it could do. And I love the name of the organization, right? Pride and Less Prejudice.
Right, so it's a literary reference and everything. Yes, it's great.
I love that, and the people on board, that's incredible. So keep doing what you're doing. I have a feeling the banned books thing is not going to go away anytime soon.
Well, switch the gears, like with this banned books, it's kind of, it's good that we have celebrities allies coming together, but just the sheer fact that we have legislators who want to basically eradicate the First Amendment by saying what to learn and what to not to learn and things like that, and it's at least get rid of some of this stupid fascism going around this country, but it's good to have that we have allies and celebrities banding together for the books right here.
Yeah, why are you gonna ban You, Me, and Tango? Come on, it's a story about penguins.
Exactly. I know. Get over the question.
Stop.
The sad truth is that moms for lawn furniture, they're not going anywhere. I'm just telling you.
Folks, tonight's broadcast is presented by viewers like you and the generous support by Visit Lauderdale. Everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up business. New DC bar faces backlash over political branding. A newly opened Washington, D.C. bar, Political Patties, wanted to create a bipartisan hangout, but it has ignited tensions within the LGBTQ plus community. After taking over from the beloved gay bar, the Dirty Goose, the bar replaced rainbow decor with a red elephant and a blue donkey. This decision has been seen as a misstep. Controversy erupted when the bar's Instagram account defended dialogue with the Republicans, despite concerns about the party's legislative attacks on queer rights. One follower replied, quote, "Bro, we're still not drinking or playing pickleball with people who look at our existence as debatable," end quote. The owners, a straight couple, released a statement apologizing for the hurt caused by their logo and reaffirming their commitment to diversity. Well, they certainly did get that poorly executed, and I kind of wonder if they're actually trying to capitalize on the political climate, and do they really care at this point? I mean, it felt so chaotic is the word I described that.
So you just hate it when stupid, clueless straight people take over a former gay bar? I know I do. They've now made the formerly uber hip U Street corridor unctuous. See what I did with all those U's?
I see.
Yeah, I see that. I'm impressed.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, straight people. How we love you. We can't get much done without you, right? But you need gay consultants at times, okay? And this was it. You're in DC. Read the country, bro. I mean, come on. Maybe after Kamala wins, I'll be all for this bar. But right now,
Bad timing.
too soon. No, just no.
You saw the outside of that decor out there. I mean, they painted it just, it just poor taste. It was just everything about. I'm just going like it's just like plain. They ruined the fabulous decor of the thing. And I know.
Come on,
Terrible.
Dirty Goose. Come on,
we
Dirty
missed
Goose.
the Dirty
Back.
Goose. We go back to the Dirty Goose.
Yeah.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up business. Toyota faces anti-LGBTQ plus backlash over DEI efforts. Toyota, the renowned Japanese car manufacturer, is facing criticism from right-wing figures such as Robbie Starbuck for its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Starbuck claimed Toyota has gone totally woke, citing its support for LGBTQ employees and donations to queer organizations. He argued, quote, Toyota seems to have forgotten who their core customers are, end quote. However, Toyota clarified that many of these activities are led by its employees. The company spokesperson said, quote, not every activity is sanctioned by the company, and we have over 14 affinities and 116 chapters and over 8,000 members in our ERGs. Well, as someone who has owned 3 Priuses, or is that Prii, I beg to differ with Starsuck when it comes to who are Toyota's core customers. I am one, and I'm pretty sure you're one too.
Yes, I have 5 Toyotas. Literally
figured.
5. When I saw this story, I was like, oh, Greg's going to call me out on that one. Me, my wife, our daughter, my mother-in-law, we have 5 freaking Toyotas. Please don't Elon Musk me. Please don't make me have to sell all our cars. Okay, you could have just taken the tag and say, yes, yes, we're woke, or like, whatever. But that was a total nasty, like corny excuse, Toyota. Oh, we've got a lot of subsidiaries and we don't make all our decisions ourselves. That's a cop-out right there, Toyota is what it is. And we are your core audience. A lot of us have Toyotas.
I love how they all of a sudden, they'll take DEI and all of a sudden now everybody's calling it a woke thing. Like it's something.
And somebody do something about this Robbie Starbuck. I'm like, where did he come from? Like when I first talked about it, does he own Starbucks? Like, who is this guy?
Everything with them could be woke. Even a car engine. The V8 is woke. It's too out of the closet. To open in inclusive. So
and his man bun is woke, by the way.
Who are the core customers of Toyota? I'm just curious. Does anybody know? Because I want to know who that is.
I thought it was
people who drive cars. So
people who drive
cars.
Is there a demographic that only buys Toyotas?
Yeah, exactly.
No, cop out, Toyota. Total cop out. Again, like I said, I'm saying it again. Don't Elon Musk me. I don't have time to sell 5 cars. Next, LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Jeopardy's hot priest leaves fans swooning. Fans of Jeopardy were pleasantly surprised when Father Steve Jakubowski, a 29-year-old Catholic priest, appeared on an episode this week. Dubbed the Hot Priest, based on the out actor Andrew Scott's role in Fleabag. Jakubowski has a striking resemblance to actor Paul Rudd. His scruffy beard and warm smile have sparked reactions on gay Twitter, with one account saying, quote, we'll take hot priest for 1,000. Though Father Steve has lost in Final Jeopardy, he feels blessed to represent his faith and community on TV, and fans are blessed for all the hotness he brought on the show. I love this guy, and I loved seeing hot priest, stories everywhere about him being on Jeopardy. I went to Rome a couple of years back, and they had the Hot Priests of Rome calendar, right? And they put it out every year, and it's 12 hot AF priests. There's nothing wrong with finding men or women of the cloth sexy.
I have the very fortunate luxury to be dating a man of the cloth.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I do. Robert is a deacon.
He is.
Yes, my boyfriend, Robert Hadley, is a deacon at the Holy Angels. So, and I have to say, too, Paul Rudd is a cutie, so I always like him like them in 40-Year Virgin.
Yeah. So do you like make out with Robert and tell him to keep the thing?
No.
Okay, so Adam, I should have asked you. I should have asked you that outside the show. I'm so sorry, Carvelle. I'm so sorry, Robert.
No, it's
I
all
love
right.
you.
No, right. It's no.
Well, as a longtime atheist and someone who was in a long-term relationship with a priest, I will say that I was hot under the collar for Father Steve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, the first priest that I ever did encounter, I did find quite attractive. And I was about 6 or 7 years old, so I should have known then. But, oh well.
There you go. Those are clues.
Oh, man. All right, Carvelle, what's next, Mama?
All right. Let's queer up 1 minute news. Let's queer up healthcare. Queer up healthcare. The study reveals LGBTQ older adults face higher brain health risks. A Yale School of Medicine study of 393,000 participants revealed a link between being LGBTQ and poor brain health in older age. The published in the Neurology, the study found 50% of higher risk of dementia, depression, and stroke among queer individuals compared to their straight counterparts. The research identified 11,500 cases of late life depression, 6,600 strokes, and 2,900 dementia diagnostics. With trans women, it was 68% more likely to experience strokes. The findings highlight the disparities driven by stress, discrimination, healthcare barriers, calling for focus on research on queer health and equality. Yeah, I mean, it's something, your health, your body is something that we need to take care of us. But I mean, like the study is saying that we in a queer community, some of us have been burdened with abuse, and we have our own stories. So that having this right here, this is kind of putting a light on that. We gotta take better care of ourselves.
Yeah, well, because you know what, we've been through a lot
Yeah.
too,
Yeah,
Carvelle.
always, yeah.
I mean, I look at people who are, let's see, 10, 20 years older than me, right? They've been through Stonewall. They've been through AIDS, the AIDS crisis.
Lost
they
a lot
went
of people,
through this
lost
pandemic.
people,
They've been through Trump. They've been through so much. Of course, we have, a higher risk of healthcare issues. We've been stressed since we were born.
Right.
Since we popped out the
closet,
we've been freaking stressed.
I've said it, the LGBTQ plus community is one of the hardest working communities ever because we fight so hard and with passion. I mean, some days for myself, I'm working about 60 hours a week and it doesn't bother me. I enjoy my work, but I have to be mindful and I have to take those breaks and get regular checkups and do what I need to do to take care of myself because we have a lot at stake, especially in this election. So,
Yeah.
Wait, where am I?
Oh no! Stop.
Who am I? All kidding aside, what's for dinner, Mom?
That's good.
LGBTQ 1 minute news.
All right.
Let's queer up entertainment. Let's look at early LGBTQ Oscar predictions for 2025. With Oscar voting still months away, queer films and talent are already making waves. Queer News Tonight weighs in. Notable contenders include Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing and Lily Gladstone for Fancy Dance. Films such as Challengers by Luca, unpronounceable last name, and I Saw the TV Glow with Justice Smith are also generating buzz. Katie O'Brien in Love Lies Bleeding and Carla Sofia Gascon in Emilia Perez are on the list too. Will and Harper is expected in the Best Documentary category, and their theme song, Harper and Will Go West, may snag Best Original Song honors. Okay. Well, I strongly disagree regarding I Saw the TV Glow and strongly agree about Sing Sing. I'd like to add some movies.
Okay.
Drive Away Dolls, Femme.
Oh, Drive Away Dolls, yes.
Femme, Handling the Undead, Janet Planet, and My Old Ass, all of which have strong queer characters, as well as the animated Wild Robot, featuring the voices of queer actors Kit Connor and Stephanie Sue. Also, the documentaries Hidden Master about George Platt Lines, Indigo Girls, It's Only Life After All, Let the Canaries Sing about Cyndi Lauper, and Queen of the Deuce about the lesbian who operated the game porn theaters in Times Square in the 70s.
Ooh, I want to see that.
Those are my recommendations.
I love that. Why did you hate I Saw the TV Glow?
I don't like this director. I didn't like the director's previous movie. Let's all go to the World's Fair. That was a mess, and I thought this was a mess as well. So, sorry.
Okay, but it gives us, I mean, it excites us for what's coming up in the Oscars,
yes.
right? I mean, the Emmys were fantastic to see how many queer, representation was there. So hopefully the Oscars would do the same. And now with Will's new documentary, maybe it'll be like, that light of hope, like there are so many important documentaries that don't get the spotlight that they deserve. Maybe because of Will Ferrell's popularity, this will.
I forgot about that song that at the end of the Will and Harper that was written by Kristen Wiig. He actually called her up on during the documentary. He says, I need you to write a theme song for us. So you literally see it at the beginning of the documentary, and then at the end you actually get to hear it. And it was so beautiful. It really was. It was funny, it was joy, and it was everything. It was every emotion. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll win Best Song, but I enjoyed it.
But it's cool that that it might be up.
It might get even a nomination. It'd be great that it is.
A nomination is, again, representation. It's still us out there in some way, shape, or form.
And that is today's news for the queer community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBT stories in motion and sound. This is the passion of Hotspot Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, FayWhat. I'm so happy to be back. And on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Gregg Shapiro, Otto Zielke, and Carvelle Estriplet, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. We remind you the presidential election is just 35 days away. Stand up for equality, rights, and representation. Make sure you're registered and ready to cast your ballot. Do not sleep with anybody who is not registered to vote, all right? Let's make history. Let's vote for a better future. See you next time.